Hello, this is your lazy developer and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn about REST. So REST stands for Representational State Transfer. Let us understand why REST. REST is an architectural style. Unlike SOAP, which uses only XML, it can use both XML or JSON for communication. JSON format is said to be more human readable format. Could be easily called from JavaScript. It is a stateless protocol. That means session info is not stored on the server. Each request raised by the client application needs to carry all the info which is required for processing. Lightweight as compared to SOAP, requests and responses are transferred only via HTTP protocol. These are few advantages of REST over SOAP. Like every other architecture, even REST have few constraints, and these constraints make an API RESTful. Let us understand about these constraints. The first architectural constraint is the client-server architecture. The principle behind the client-server constraint is the separation of concerns. Separating the user interface concerns from the data storage concerns improve portability of the user interface across multiple platforms. It also improves scalability by simplifying the server components. Imagine a factory that produces shoes as a server. Now, server is located at one location and it has the responsibility to manufacture shoes. When the sales are going up, you can add multiple stores like multiple user interfaces accessing your API. And if the demand rises from other part of the globe, you can open up a factory which is nearer to the location. This is like adding up a server near to that location. Client apps like stores and factories like RESTful APIs can function, scale up and scale down independently according to the requirement. Second constraint is statelessness. A request should contain all the information like payload or token etc. that is required to process the request. Let's understand why it is important. While scaling up, it becomes difficult to clone all the user sessions stored on the primary server to the secondary servers. Likewise, while scaling down, some user session data might be lost. Here statelessness helps as server need not store any info. All the required data would be passed to the server from API. Third constraint is cacheability. Responses must implicitly or explicitly define themselves as either cacheable or non-cacheable to prevent clients from providing stale or inappropriate data in response to further requests. Well-managed caching partially or completely eliminates some client-server interactions, further improving scalability and performance. Data like menu items in food ordering website, products of a business web page can be cached as they don't tend to change quite frequently. On the other hand, data of flight, train, bus, cab booking applications or transactional data in a banking domain gets updated frequently. Such type of data shouldn't be cached. Now let's talk about the fourth constraint, layered system. A REST API should support layered system. You should be able to add an API gateway, a load balancer and an auth server for security, thus separating business logic from security logic. If a proxy or load balancer is placed in between the client and server, it won't affect the communications and there won't be a need to update the client or server code. It helps in improving system scalability. The fifth constraint is uniform interface. It is very important to understand this constraint. REST APIs can be developed using C#, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, etc. REST API developed using Node.js shouldn't be different from C#. How to invoke, what should it process, and what should it return should be same for an API implemented in any language. To implement uniform interface, we need to understand the four guiding principles. Resource identification and requests. You go to a super specialty hospital, it might have X number of departments. You need to visit ENT department. So here ENT department is the resource identifier. In case of REST, each endpoint that is exposed to client is a resource. And in REST, each resource should be identified using the uniform resource identifier. You may call it as an API endpoint. Resource manipulation through representations. While registering yourself at the hospital, you give your personal details along with consultation charges. And hospital's database is updated with your details. For REST API, when a client holds a representation of resource, including any metadata attached, it has enough information to modify or delete the resource's state provided it has enough permissions. Self-descriptive messages. Each message includes enough information to describe how to process the message. For example, which parser to invoke can be specified by a media type. It's like In ENT department, they might have multiple physicians, out of which you are redirected to a specific physician. Hypermedia as the engine of application state, or HATE-OS. HATE-OS is a component of REST application architecture that distinguishes it from other network applications architectures. With HATE-OS, a client interacts with server and server provide information dynamically through hypermedia. A rich client needs little to no prior knowledge about how to interact with an application or server beyond a generic understanding of hypermedia. For example, as a patient, you need to know the address of the hospital. Once reaching the hospital, you are redirected to a physician, then lab for tests if any, and then the medical store. Likewise, you need to hardcode only one API endpoint. The response should return all other URLs that are allowed to access. The last constraint is code on demand, which is an optional constraint. This says that REST API should be able to transfer an executable piece of code and provide extensibility to the client. For example, compiled components such as Java applets or client-side scripts such as JavaScript. That's it, folks. Keep learning. Don't be a lazy dev. Thank you.